mountain gorillas left in the world, and these live within 4 national parks split into 2 regions: Bwindi Impenetrable Forest National Park, Mahinga Gorilla National Park in Uganda, Volcanoes National Park in Rwanda, and Virunga National Park in the Democratic Republic of Congo. The gorilla is the largest of all living primates and has a robust build with long muscular arms, a massive chest, and broad hands and feet. It has longer and darker hair than other species, allowing it to live and travel at high altitudes where temperatures drop to below 0 degrees Celsius. The gorillas can be identified by nose prints unique to each individual. Male mountain gorillas stand up to an average height of 6 feet and weigh from 400 to 500 pounds, that is 227 kilograms, making them the largest of the great apes. Adult males are called silverbacks because they develop a streak of silver hair on their backs with maturity. The silverback is the leader and the ultimate protector of his band. The mountain gorilla is most active between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. Most of this time is alternated between foraging, eating, and resting. They are herbivores and consume large amounts of vegetation. Adult males can eat up to 34 kilograms of vegetation a day, while a female can eat as much as 18 kilograms. Females reach breeding age at about 10 years old. They typically bear young every 4 to 5 years, giving birth after a gestation period of 8 to 9 months. The mountain gorilla is generally shy but highly social and lives in relatively stable, cohesive groups of up to 35 individuals. These groups are made up of 1 silverback, 1 or 2 blackbacks, a few mature female juveniles, and infants.
This is NTV.
Parliament is usurping the powers of the executive. No. What we want to do is to come and compare notes.
MPs demand crash explanation from Defence Ministry as the 7 servicemen who perished on Mount Kenya are laid to rest. He was once described as part of a new breed of African leaders, then strongman, dictator, and an ally of the West. Now Ethiopia's Meles Zenawi is dead, but what is its implications for Uganda and the region?
Also tonight, a new chapter opens as Ugandan MPs begin the task of finding out what and how the helicopter crash was happened in the Mount Kenya area.
And tonight, the Uganda Demographic Health Survey of 2011 reveals shocking figures. 2.4 million children below the age of 5 are stunted. And it is this that pumps part of our NTV poll, so be sure to have your say.
It's Tuesday night, the 21st of August 2012, and a very warm welcome to NTV Tonight. Let's take you straight into tonight's headlines. Ethiopia mourns the passing away of their Prime Minister Meles Zenawi as his death sends repercussions far beyond his country.
Stunting prevalence still remaining high, and it is almost by 9 folds. That's very, very big.
Also tonight, the alarming state of health in Uganda, as figures reveal that 47% of Ugandan children under 5 are stunted.
You want to talk to those officers? Police right now are the agents of land grabbers.
And chaos in the disputed stretch of land bordering Amuyu and Aljumani districts after residents led by MP Gilbert Olanya block an attempt to survey the land. Welcome to NTV Tonight. I am Rachel Arinitwe.
I'm Gabriel Apenu. Welcome to the program. Now, the Parliamentary Committee on Defence and Internal Affairs kicks off its investigations on the UPDF helicopter's crash at the beginning of next month by visiting the scene of the accident on Mount Kenya together with their counterparts from the Kenyan Parliament.
But ahead of it, the MPs are demanding that the Ministry of Defence explains the circumstances under which the helicopters crashed. As Agnes Nandutu reports, the MPs want to independently ascertain whether the choppers crashed because of bad weather, pilot error, or the condition of the choppers.
All the 7 UPDF soldiers who perished in 3 UPDF attack helicopters that crashed last week have been laid to rest, but questions remain on the cause of the crash. And as members of Parliament plan to travel to Mount Kenya next month to ascertain the cause, they also want the Minister of Defence to present a government statement to Parliament on the circumstances under which the 3 helicopters crashed.
We also want to go to the site where this crash occurred. We look at the terrain and then we come back here with a report. We don't meet the defense people without our counterparts, the members of Parliament in Kenya, who deal with issues of security and defense. So this is a matter of emergency. We must go to Kenya within this month before the investigation starts.
It is not that Parliament is usurping the powers of the executive. No. What we want to do is to come and compare notes. What the executive has found out and what Parliament has found out, and then we disclose to the country which way forward and what should be done and what should be corrected.
We need to give really honor to our brothers who perished. So maybe a motion will be brought on the floor of the House to that effect. Number 2, we also need the minister to make a statement to inform the Parliament, to inform the nation about the circumstances under which the crash occurred.
The lawmakers who sit on the Parliamentary Committee on Defence in their draft report had raised questions about the qualifications of the country's Air Force staff and the mechanical condition of the choppers. In their meeting today, the legislators want the Minister of Defence, Dr. Crispus Kionga, to explain all these questions as soon as Parliament resumes next week, which they say will help them carry out their investigations.
Before the planes were dispatched to Somali, we happened to have an opportunity with the Minister of Defence, and actually we questioned the training and the approval of the training course by Civil Aviation Authority. And we realized that maybe the pilots undergo half course.
There are questions about the worthiness of the choppers, the training of the soldiers, the weather conditions.
The MP's probe runs parallel to that already set up by President Yoweri Museveni, headed by General Salim Saleh. Agnes Nandutu, NTV Parliament.
Now, all 7 UPDF officers who died last week have been buried this afternoon in their respective ancestral homes amidst a somber mood. Sergeant Charles Lukwago was given a final send-off in Sowet village, Buikwe district, with UPDF describing him as a hard-working officer. He leaves behind 2 children and a widow. Julia Senkando attended the burial and has sent this report.
It was a sober mood here at Samuka Katongo in Mukono district as hundreds of friends and relatives stand up for the final send-off of Sergeant Charles Lukwago. Lukwago was among the 7 UPDF Air Force soldiers who perished in the 2 helicopters which crashed around mountain Kenya over a week ago. They were on their way to Somalia for a peacekeeping mission in the war-torn country. A series of eulogies described the flying army technician as a hard-working and disciplined officer.
Simanyi kidoko kyekiriwo kuba katimbinga akafaananyi buli kigenda mu maaso sikitegeera.
As a UPDF norm, Lukwago was accorded a 3-gun salute before the casket containing his remains was laid down. The moment left many of the mourners emotion, with some collapsing like this old lady. Lukwago died at the age of 27, but UPDF, represented by the Land Forces Chief of Staff Brigadier General Silva Kayemba, asserted their support to the family.
Nimba tegeeza nti UPDF eri namwe mu kaseera kano era ejja kuba namwe oluvannyuma nga tukola ku ngeri gye tulabiriramu omugenzi b'abalesse.
Before his death, Lukwago had spent close to 17 years in the force, having joined in 1995. Julius Senkandwa, NTV.
May their souls rest in peace. Still on a rather unfortunate note, Ethiopian Prime Minister Meles Zenawi has died aged 57 in a hospital abroad. State media has reported that his deputy Haile Mariam Desalegn becomes Prime Minister until elections due in 2015. Meles Zenawi's death will have repercussions far beyond his country. He was undeniably central to everything in Ethiopia, the good and the bad, the economic growth and development, as well as the repressive climate denounced by opposition politicians and journalists. But he also played a key role in the region. Political leaders across the region will tonight be carrying out rapid calculations about what Mr. Meles' death means for them. Maurice Ochol has been examining some of them.
It could have come as a shock to many nations around the world as the death of the 57-year-old Ethiopian president Meles Zenawi was confirmed. Reactions have flooded in. Liberian President Ellen Johnson said Meles Zenawi was an intellectual leader for the continent, and UK Prime Minister David Cameron called him an inspirational spokesman for Africa who had lifted millions out of poverty. But to the inner circles in the government of Ethiopia, this was news to them. Nicholas Opio, a political analyst, notes that his death was already foreseen and perhaps preparations were already underway.
News of his death was delayed. And I think the reason for that was to allow the generals, the closed, knit inner circles of his government to prepare for post-Zenawi situation. So I think they're adequately prepared to handle post-Zenawi situation.
Analysts argue that his death might not create a power struggle, looking at the fact that Ethiopia hosts the African Union headquarters in Addis Ababa.
The African Union, in many senses, will also play a great role in ensuring that chaos does not ensue in Ethiopia, because it's a host country for the African Union.
One critical issue that Ethiopia is cautious on is the religious factor and possibility of an Islamic force ruling the country in the future.
But if a post-Zenawi is taken over by an Islamic fundamentalist group, it might provide a very good inroad for the Al-Shabaab to then use Ethiopia as a launch pad for their war in Somalia.
Ethiopia has been at the forefront of fighting terrorism since Meles Zenawi took power in 1991. Ethiopia has seen Eritrea secede, then fought a war with the new country. It also sent troops into Somalia to fight militants linked to Al-Qaeda. Ethiopia has also peacekeepers in Abyei, the border region claimed by both Sudan and South Sudan.
Ethiopia was a strong partner in the fight against piracy. It was a strong partner in maintaining some sort of regional stability in the Horn of Africa. albeit using iron hand method, using very autocratic means, but it was an important player in the stability of the Horn of Africa.
Zenawi had been in power since overthrowing Mengistu Haile Mariam's military junta in 1991. He served as a president from 1991 to 1995 when he became prime minister.
I think the death of Meles Zenawi is a cause for joy for many who had viewed his government as being undemocratic, as being repressive to media freedoms. So I think that African leaders who have been in power for far too long should then arise to the fact that one time they will go. If the people cannot change you, the hand of the Lord, the nature, the law of nature will eventually call you.
Zenawi was credited with Ethiopia's economic boom in the past decade, with economic growth shooting from 3.8% in the 1990s to 10% in 2010. He was, however, denounced by opposition politicians and journalists for a repressive climate. Maurice Ochol, NTV.
Tonight, 47% of Uganda's children under the age of 5 are too short and too thin for their heights and ages. This, according to the official results of the 5th Uganda Demographic Health Survey of 2011, results by the Uganda Bureau of Statistics, funded by USAID along with other development partners. A lack of knowledge on what to feed the children and how to feed them has been cited by the Ministry of Health as the main reason why most of Uganda's children are stunted, despite the availability of food in areas like the West, where the levels of food production are high. Here is Florence Naliemba.
A few months back, the 2011 Uganda Preliminary Demographic Health Survey results were out. These indicated that stunted levels in the country had gone down. This was shockingly good news for the Ministry of Health. It was doubtable and questionable. Those questions and doubts today have been put at rest during the release of the official results. This indicated that almost half of Uganda's children below 5 years of age are stunted.
Yeah, it's quite sad. However, I think the survey has also given us the reality of what is happening.
The nutrition status of children in the country stands as follows, according to the official results of the UDHS 2011. 2.4 million children below 5, representing 33% of 7.3 million, are severely stunted. Another 1 million, representing 14% of children under 5, are moderately stunted or too short for their age. Those who are wasted or too thin for their height are 360,000, while 144,000 are moderate, totaling 7%. The underweight or those too thin for their ages are 14%, with severe levels and moderate levels are at 3%, totaling 17% of Uganda's children below 5.
It's very easy for the stunting or for other indicators to go up, but it is very difficult, especially for stunting, to be brought back.
Now, according to regions, Karamoja and the western parts have the highest levels of stunting of children under 5. Karamoja at 63%, Western 63%, Southwest has 60%, West Nile 56%, Central 2 at 51%, Central 1 47%, East Central at 46%, the North is at 38%, while the Eastern and Kampala have the least levels at 33% and 17% respectively. Against these alarming results, UBOS officials this evening called to tell us cases of severe stunted growth had dropped from 38% to 33% in a space of 5 years since the 2006 UDHS results. The reality, however, is that stunting levels at 33%, or 3 out of every 10 children, are still very much worrying, especially in Western Uganda, where 6 in every 10 children under 5 years of age are retarded in growth, yet their area is considered to be Uganda's food basket.
Karamoja you can forgive because they don't have the food, but if you look at the percentage which they have, it's more or less the same. So the issue is not only the availability of the food, but the issue is more than that.
And this, the ministry says, is because of knowledge deficit of what to give the children.
And at what interval?
The ministry admits that, despite having interventions to fight stunting, it has not aggressively addressed the issue and now is calling for a multi-sectoral approach.
And we need aggressive interventions.
Interventions in place have been to give the children food supplements
in the foods which are commonly consumed.
Other interventions include safe water, immunization, preventive measures against malaria, and not forgetting the most nutritious breast milk. Aside from the alarming stunted growth levels, this survey also has worrying trends in anemia, whereby 5 in every 10 children under 5 are anemic. But these are slight improvements in the figures of the past 5 years. However, to make progress noticeable, the Ministry of Health may have to urgently address the problem of stunted growth. Florence Naliba, NTV.
Well, that brings us to our NTV poll question this evening. We are asking what can possibly be done to reduce the high number of stunted children below the age of 5. I repeat, what can be done to reduce the high number of children below the age of 5 who are stunted in Uganda?
To have your say, text your response to 8778. Remember to leave your name and where you're texting from. Remember, this is not a yes or no response kind of question. We just want to hear your thoughts on that particular one. Moving on, there was chaos in a parish in the disputed stretch of land bordering Amuru and Adjumani districts yesterday after residents of the area led by their Member of Parliament Gilbert Olanya blocked an attempt to survey the land. Residents who were meeting senior police officers from Northern and West Nile regions and the RDC of Amuru abandoned the meeting after they learned that they were a team of surveyors led by officials from the Ministry of Lands, Housing and Urban Development, marking the boundary 7 kilometers from the meeting venue. The land, which residents say is ancestral, is claimed by the Uganda Wildlife Authority as part of East Madi Game Reserve, and lately Adjumani district says it lies in its territory. Moses Akena reports.
Minutes, Clark County MP Gilbert Olanya and the District Speaker Christopher Donkara engaged the surveyors who were being guarded by anti-riot police and forced them to abandon the exercise.
You guys have to go over our land. Focus. Pack your thing and leave our land right now within 1 second. Pack your thing and take it back to Adjumani. Don't play with water with us. Okay? So, don't fool us. We kill you or you kill us. Take your back. You will never come here for the second time. Calm down. The whole police of Uganda. The whole police of Uganda. Calm down. You're security. Calm down. We don't want this. Don't come the vehicle. No. Leave it first. Leave it first. Leave it first.
This side here, they are here.
This total madness.
Even the other.
At the meeting area, residents blockaded the road after a handful of police at the scene fired tear gas at them. Mr. Olanya, who urged the residents to be calm, condemned the government for using the police to front the interest of alleged land grabbers.
Anybody who wants to grab land in Uganda, you find them being escorted by the police officers, by the UPDF of Uganda, and you are failing to understand. We were being violated. Our cattle were taken. We are not educated. We are going to use this land. We shall dig the land, and we shall make sure our children go to school.
Earlier in the meeting, residents accused the government and Adjumani district officials of trying to force them out of their ancestral land.
Museveni must respect the people of Bapa fully.
The dispute over the land claimed at least 1 life and injured scores others, as well as 25 arrested in February this year. The dispute about this land has been going on for the last 5 years and no solution has yet been reached. Residents are insisting there's nothing more they need apart from their ancestral land. Moses Akena, NTV, Apa Parish.
We're going to take a short break right now, but here's what you can expect on NTV tonight when we return.
On the farm this week, we examine the painstaking process of passion fruit growing.
And in sport, Uganda Cranes head coach Bobby Williamson sets his sights on a friendly with Botswana.
NTV Tonight continues after this short break. Do stay with us.
This is NTV.
Ideally, we all have the right to express our opinions and views truthfully and openly.
Atele lom tugenda katongole mbukasam.
Kampala bwerere mwansomu the bus. The discussion is still going on in the bus.
Tulino kugumira challenges ezimu bwe tuba tulino okugoba abatembeeyi mwami lukwaga agumaga abatembeeyi mugende mbadde njala kunyonyola omukulu mbadde njala kunyonyola omwami yagambye nti meya lukwago ye meya omutuufu
gavumenti ekutte lukwago emunyigira mu nsonga takyekyusa.
Welcome back to minibus kyogereko.
Singa omusajja abankwana nga njagala sifa ku kya ssente wabula nfa ku mbeera yeeyisa
alimba ono
This is minibus kyogereko.
This is NTV.
Fieldwork has been defined by different scholars. Some think it is an art.
These are the blood types that are in human beings. We have A.
When a chemical reaction takes place, it involves two things.
We are given a straight line that has been denoted by 2x minus y is equal to 6.
Welcome back. We start with a reminder of our NTV poll question for tonight and some of your responses. We asked what can be done to reduce the high number of children below the age of 5 who are stunted in Uganda. I'll say that again. What can be done to reduce the high number of children below the age of 5 in Uganda who are stunted?
To have you say, text your response to 8778. Remember to leave your name and where you're texting from. Let's now read out a few of your responses so far.
Okay. Well, Ventorino Otto, you say, in order to find appropriate solutions, we must first ask whose children are stunted. And you give the answer as the children of the rural and urban absolutely poor. You say malnutrition-related stunting is a function of poverty, so it can only be addressed through comprehensive poverty reduction and eradication strategies. You wind up by saying targeted feeding interventions should only be short-term emergency interventions.
And we got a response from Masa in Jinja, who is of the view that the Ministry of Health should educate us on what to feed our children.
Okay, please keep those comments and contributions coming. We shall read some more of them before we wind up tonight's bulletin.
Moving on, tension is brewing in the Forum for Democratic Change Party over a constitutional provision that requires candidates aspiring for the party's presidency to relinquish their party or government positions during the campaign period.
Well, the tensions were stirred after some party members demanded that Nandala Mafabi, one of the presidential candidates, steps aside as leader of the opposition in order to provide a level playing field in the race.
Chris Ochamuenga reports.
A provision in the FDC's constitution calling on all presidential candidates to take leave of their offices during campaigns has raised controversy in the party. At the heart of it all is the demand by some party members to have one of the presidential contenders, Nandala Mafabi, relinquish his position as leader of opposition. The members agitating for Mafabi to temporarily leave office maintain that his stepping aside will prevent him from unfairly enjoying privileges using taxpayers' money. But Mafabi, who is currently out of the country, argues in a letter that NTV has obtained that the office of the leader of opposition is a political one which would not provide any unfair advantage to him in the campaigns. The party leadership today discussed the matter in their management meeting but didn't come up with a resolution.
There was some mention of it, but we can't discuss a matter like that when the leader of opposition is not in the meeting. He's out of the country, we'll come back. But we now had a normal management meeting of the party. And the party will come out stronger as usual. We are confident about it.
Much stronger.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the FDC candidate for the Butambala parliamentary by-election, Moses Kasule, has stepped down for his DP counterpart, Mwanga Chivumbi, as a strategy to take the seat from the NRM candidate.
The purpose is actually to inform you officially about my withdrawal from the race in Butambala to my friend here, Mwanga Chivumbi.
I think this is a great step forward in the political dispensation of Uganda.
The Butambala by-elections are scheduled to take place on the 12th of September. The contest is widely expected to be a two-horse race between the NRM's Faisal Chikulukunyu and DP's Mwanga Chivumbi. The other candidate is the Uganda Federal Alliance's Ibrahim Tomusange. Chris Ochamringa, NTV.
A businessman and the newly appointed State Minister for East African Affairs, Shem Bagaine, has come out to defend his role in the collection of Amber House rental fees. Speaking to NTV this afternoon, Bagaine said his company did not touch a single penny and all the money was deposited by tenants in an Amber House company account. Now, some of the lawmakers in the Natural Resources Committee of Parliament yesterday alleged that his company, Bagaine and Company Limited, had to explain how the money was spent. Here's Jingo Francis.
Businessman Shem Bagaine is the proprietor of Bagaine and Company Limited, dealing in property management. His company was contracted to collect rent and manage Amber House on behalf of Amber House Limited. And in 2008, the company stopped managing the building. Bagaine says the allegations made by lawmakers yesterday are intended to tarnish his good reputation amongst the public.
But if the wrong hand finds that he has got a hand within mismanagement of the funds of Amber House, then he will be brought on board.
4.5 years since we stopped managing Amber House. And I'm surprised that questions come after so long and nobody seems to know where the money which had been collected, which is being collected over the last 4 years is. But certainly a lot of money was collected. I remember in a period of 2 years, we collected more than 3 billion shillings.
Bagaine told NTV this afternoon that his company did not touch any single penny and all the money was deposited by the tenants in the Amber House company account.
Let anybody come and accuse our company of meddling with any money at all, or using any money, because we don't use clients' money. We hold the money in trust. Now, if they didn't send the money to Consolidated Fund, that's not a question for me to answer.
Natural Resources Committee Chairman Michael Werike has also come out to disown statements made by some of the committee members against Bagaine.
Shem Bagaine, as of now, has no role, has no connection with the Amber House issues. However, as a committee, of course, we are interested in knowing how this company has been managing the affairs of Amber House.
Bagaine's trouble on Amber House seemed to be a result of his perceived role in the local politics of Kigezi sub-region as a kingmaker of most of the politicians in Kigezi.
But I understand politics. People have their own ideas. Now that I've been appointed a minister, certain issues must crop up, obviously with intentions to throw mud at my name. But that is public, and I understand it very well. I've been a politician before myself.
Due to his wide business experience and expertise, he is promising to promote trade in the region.
I'm looking at a situation where there is free mobility of businessmen, industrialists, and everybody else.
And before he takes over this responsibility, Bagaine will have to be vetted by the Parliamentary Committee on Appointments. Jingo Francis, NTV, Parliament.
Now, research and advocacy organizations that deal with controversial topics, particularly those that might be seen as infringing upon the officials' political and financial interests, are facing increasing harassment by Uganda's government. Well, that is the conclusion of a 50-page report released.
Registering with the non-governmental organization board. NGO organizations, particularly those involved with oil transparency, land, governance and human rights groups, are treated as possible national security threats, says the report, and are given an increasingly difficult time in carrying out their work and advocating for change in public forums. The report also claims
that the Minister for Ethics and Integrity interfered with the seminar organized by lesbians and homosexuals. And we are still investigating the case. So I don't know how far the police has gone. I will have to inquire from the police. You see, every country, including those countries where those NGO representatives come from, they have their laws and regulations which govern their state or their country. So the NGOs that violate Ugandan laws and regulations, definitely they have a right to explain why they are doing so. And we haven't yet persecuted any. That is arrogance of the highest order. You come to somebody's country, you say you are coming to help them because we are poor. Fine. Do we even have rights? In fact, we also tell them we also have our rights. But what I know, the Human Rights Watch is serving interests of some of their donors, of whoever financed their activity.
Moving on now, growing passion fruits is not an easy task. It involves a lot of investment, especially in labor, infrastructure and planting materials, among others. In this edition of NTV's On the Farm, Solomon Serwanja met up with George Kibodje, a farmer in Kayunga district who has taken the risk and endured the challenges to reap big from passion fruits.
The growing demand from fruit factories and supermarkets in the country has presented a new market opportunity for fruit farmers. One of the fruits which are high on demand are passion fruits. We traveled to Nakatundu village, Kangulumira sub-county in Kayunga district, where we met up with George Chibode, a passion fruit farmer who has stepped into the passion fruit business for 10 years. Chibode, a teacher by profession, decided to leave the blackboard to mine the gold in the passion fruit growing on his 4-acre piece of land.
I get a reasonable amount of money from the passion fruit. I have got about 4 acres as per now, and in an acre I can get about 10 tons. Okay?
Finding market for his passion fruit is not any problem. Traders from as far as Juba and Kampala come to his farm to pick the product, saving him transport costs.
My produce is sold almost everywhere. The local market, in fact, we don't have enough passion fruit locally. At the same time, this passion fruit it is taken to Sudan, Southern Sudan, Juba. As I'm in the garden here, I'm at the center of a market. I don't need to go away to transport, but people come.
Growing passion fruits has paid off for Chibode and his family of 8. He now owns a primary school which he constructed from the returns.
My plan was to work hard on the farm when I'm young, but when I grow old, coming to the 50s, I use younger people to head my school.
Although Chibode harvests over 10 tons per season 3 times a year, his success in growing passion fruits has not come on silver platter. His major challenge is lack of improved planting material, especially those resistant to root rot viral diseases.
They have got a disease, a viral disease, and the Ministry of Agriculture is not helping us to research on passion fruits. And we are having a problem of getting planting materials.
Despite these challenges, Chibode still soars high above his obstacles. He's currently researching on a better variety, which he hopes will improve his yields. He encourages young people to leave town and get back to villages, where the potential for making money from agriculture is guaranteed. With the ever-increasing demand for passion fruits, especially from factories that make passion fruit juice, farmers have continued to reap big from their produce. Now this could be the green gold that transforms the lives of many Ugandans from poverty to prosperity. Solomon Serwanja, NTV, Kayunga.
We're going to take a very short break, but up next is NTV Business with Malcolm Musime.
In this situation, the overriding objective of Ugandans cannot be to see whether DP or FDC is strong. The overriding objective of Ugandans must be to rid the country of the dictatorship.
This is NTV.
Fieldwork has been defined by different scholars. Some think it is an art.
These are the blood types that are in human beings. We have A.
When a chemical reaction takes place, it involves two things.
We are given a straight line that has been denoted by 2x minus y is equal to 6.
This is NTV.
Chichi,
What's life?
is life ugly?
Is it spiritual?
Isn't it loved?
And above all, isn't life really drama?
Find out what life is and what it can be every Thursday at 11 p.m. with repeats on Friday and Sunday at 12:30 p.m. Life, Chichi.
What's life?
Is life ugly?
Is it spiritual?
Isn't it loved?
With umeme.
A big thank you for joining us on Tuesday's NTV Business. Malcolm Musime. And first, the Ministry of Works has today signed a 184 billion shillings contract that will give Karamoja its first tarmac road. People from Karamoja, however, are demanding more to be done. As NTV's Samuel Situma reports, the region's leaders contend that the road to be constructed, while it is a step in the right direction, is hardly close to addressing the region's road network woes.
This was supposed to be just a signing ceremony to give Karamoja its first tarmac road, and there were supposed to be pens seen on paper and handshakes at the end of the day. The road project is Moroto Nakapiripiti Road for 184 billion shillings awarded to China Road and Bridge Corporation. But that was a valve holding back fire from members of parliament from Karamoja.
Karamoja honestly will get this tarmac road, but it might be the last tarmac road it will get. I'm not being pessimistic, but if it took 26 years to get what we are talking about today, how many more years will it take?
Because inside I'm very, I'm bitter. I'm bleeding actually here because of these other roads that you don't talk about. Look at your map. This is the kind of, even a blind person will see that. We enter Kenya to access Moroto. We enter Kenya to access Carbon. For how long are we going to continue this? A member of parliament, RDC coming from Karamoja to Kampala for a workshop, passing through Kenya.
It is not uncommon for you to get stuck on the roads in Karamoja for 3 nights due to the bad roads in this rainy season. The politicians are demanding that even when one tarmac road is done, the other Maram roads should be made passable and collapsed bridges repaired. Meanwhile, for such areas that are deemed agricultural production zones and tourism destinations like Kidepo and Bwindi, government is resorting to contract funding other than outright borrowing and funding of these road projects.
It came to our knowledge that contractors have a capacity of mobilizing funds to do work. So all what we are saying, here are the roads. Can you please tell us your conditionalities on your funds you are going to mobilize? How much interest are you going to charge us? Is it a concessional loan? Is it a commercial loan? Or is it a combination? What is the repayment period? What is the grace period?
This sort of model is getting common with Chinese contractors supported by their governments and keen to stamp their footprint in Africa. Samuel Setumba, NTV Business.
And in the financial markets, the shilling continues to perform poorly against the dollar, having lost its fairly strong footing against the greenback last week on weak inflows. We have more in the financial market report.
Financial Report
is brought to you by
URA, developing Uganda together.
All vehicles are required to revalidate their registration using our new online module and get a new logbook. All newly imported vehicles will also be registered online using this new online module. Get out of the line and get online.
Finally, on NTV Business Night, with the central bank rate currently at 17% from the highs of 23%, concern is rising among borrowers of the lackluster reaction from banks to lower their lending rates accordingly. Sector players, however, contend that while the central bank rate, which contributes to the determination of banks' interest rates, has been going down, other key interest rate determinations remain too predictable to drive rates down. When the Bank of Uganda raised the central bank rate to the highs of 23%, the argument then was that the move was a necessary evil to cap inflation, which had hit the record highs at the time. The effectiveness of this move was later seen in the corresponding hike of interest rates by commercial banks, with prime lending rate touching 28% and above from lows of 17% before the move was effected. Naturally, businesses bore the full brunt of this development. It's for this fact that many felt some relief when the central banks announced a reduction in its benchmark rate early this month. Industry players, however, assert that while this is the case, the market is yet to fully get out of the woods to warrant a return to the old interest rate regime.
Demand and supply. Once the money supply increases, interest will automatically go down. Inflation hits everybody. Trend Bank is a consumer like you and everybody else. So when it buys services and goods, it is paying very high rates. It buys the same fuel that you are buying, Trend Bank buys fuel. It uses the same power that you use. So it has to pay. So the cost of doing business has gone up tremendously high.
Meanwhile, as the economy and the market performance remain lackluster, financial players are also looking beyond the confines of urban centers to grow their businesses, with some betting on the potential of semi-urban areas like Masaka.
Business hub. And in the last 5 years, Masaka has really grown as a business center. It also works a hub for Sese Islands, Kalangala, and all the districts around. So Masaka, under the leadership of the chairman of LC5, they really make it a vibrant city to be.
That wraps up NTV Business for tonight. I'll be going for a short break right now. When we come back, Joel Kamadi will be bringing you all the sports. Unplug electronic equipment that's not in use.
This is NTV.
I'm knocking. A message yali ku the last piece of a jambia yali muhadi wa yonna. No, bloody way, holy moly.
We've just met. How can I be your friend? Mr. Rajmond. Okuzimba nyumba nga kintu kizibu nnyo banange mugumire mu bupangisa. Come.
I'm called Olar Oton. There's no English name. Just like resistance, Yakazol.
Yeah. I blame you. You have option of getting international husband. Why do you get it local? You time.
Good evening and welcome to NTV Sport. I am Joel Kamadi. Now, Uganda Cranes head coach Bobby Williamson says a friendly with Botswana would be good, but thinks it would not achieve 100% of what is needed ahead of the crunch tie against Zambia for the Africa Cup of Nations qualifier. The Cranes friendly with Botswana is in the works, but with foreign-based players not available for the match, Bobby Williamson says he will use it to work on some of the team's weaknesses.
The possibility. We're trying to weigh up the pros and cons because if we take this game on, people will be looking at that as preparation for the Zambia match, and it wouldn't necessarily be the case because we can't get the players who are abroad with full-time clubs because it's not an official friendly match, and it might defeat the purpose. But as I said, there is pros and there is cons. It could give us an opportunity to look at our younger players, but as I said, I'm confident in their abilities, and if they're called upon, I'm sure they'll do the job. It's not a test as far as I'm concerned. I think they're capable. I've seen them playing at club level. I've seen them playing under 20s, and they've got the enthusiasm, and they just need to learn how to defend. That's what we're working on today, and we're working that all the time because I do believe it's very important that the back 4 or 5, including the goalkeeper, know where they should be in the equation to where the ball is. Into relation to where the ball is in the field, and we'll continue to work on that. It's a major hurdle for us. Zambia are the holders of this tournament. I've just won it. We've not been there for a long time, although we've hit the post a few times and been very, very close. But they're the holders. They deserve all the respect that goes along with it. But I've got belief in our guys. I'm sure, given the right day and everything goes our way, then we can get the result we're looking for. I don't necessarily, I respect everybody, but don't really fear anyone because, as I said, our boys are capable.
Now, Super League side Viper FC have looked to Nigeria to secure the services of their next coach. Ambrose Chimuka was today unveiled at St. Mary's Chitende and replaces Edward Golola, who was the Buikwe club's head man for 3 years. Vipers FC finished the 2011-2012 league season in second place behind eventual winners Express and were losing finalists in the Uganda Cup.
I'm happy to be here. I promise to do my best to work. I'm not a chief coach or a head coach. I'm a coach with these men. We are coaches. Nobody should address me as a head coach or the chief coach. I'm a coach. I'm Bruce from Nigeria. I've been here once as a player, and I'm happy coming back as a coach. All I demand is cooperation, because no coach is perfect unless with the backing of the management, there's no coach. With adequate backing and support from all quarters, there is success. For the players, my demands are high. Discipline, 100%. Hard work, 100%.
Finally, in international sport, Robin van Persie started life at Manchester United with a defeat as Everton produced an outstanding performance to deservedly claim victory at Goodison Park. Elsewhere, a Somali Olympic athlete has reportedly drowned while attempting to reach Europe on a migrant boat. Everton have traditionally been slow starters, but in this opening game, they dominated United for spells, with keeper Tim Howard only being troubled by the occasional effort from Wayne Rooney. Everton's winning goal came from the outstanding Marouane Fellaini, who tormented Manchester United's makeshift defence throughout a thunderous evening on Merseyside. The giant Belgian's towering 57th minute header from Darren Gibson's corner finally ended the defiance of United keeper David De Gea, who had kept Everton at bay with a series of outstanding first-half saves. Leon Osman also struck the crossbar, and when Van Persie was finally introduced, Everton had an iron grip on the game and only looked like conceding the advantage Fellaini had given them when Phil Jagielka cleared off the line from Tom Cleverley. Goodison Park celebrated the victory noisily at the final whistle, leaving Ferguson to contemplate a lackluster performance undermined by a reshuffled rear guard in which Michael Carrick never settled in his role as emergency central defender alongside returning captain Nemanja Vidic. Rana Samia Yusuf Omar was trying to cross from Libya to Italy in April when the boat she was traveling in sank, according to Italian media. The head of Somalia's National Olympic Committee confirmed to the BBC that she had died but did not say how. Samia competed in the 200-meter event at the Beijing Olympics despite having almost no formal training. Although she came in last place, several seconds behind other competitors, reports say it is extraordinary that she was able to take part at all. She had grown up and trained in the Somali capital Mogadishu, facing war, poverty, a complete lack of athletics facilities, and prejudice from some quarters against women participating in sports. And that winds up NTV Sport for tonight. Thanks for watching.
To the problem.
And finally, Paul, a lawyer in Gulu, saying government and NGOs should scale up food security, advocacy and implementation and boost agriculture as well.
Okay, well, thank you so much for all of your responses. NTV Poll returns tomorrow with yet another topic for our discussion. I will be back later for a roundup of the day's news and events in NTV Late Night.
For now, I am Rachel Arinitwe.
I'm Gabriel Lepenu. Have yourselves a good night and thanks for watching.
To be honest, it's one of the most scary genres of music for me. For me every day. Irifemasi nisu tadi magero.
This is NTV.
Ideally, we all have the right to express our opinions and views truthfully and openly.
Atele long tugenda katongole mbukasam.
Kampala bwerere mwansomu the bus. The discussion is still going on in the bus.
Tulina okugumira challenges ezimu gwe tuba tulina okugoba abatembeeyi mwami lukwaga agumaga abatembeeyi mugende no mbadde ndala kunyonyola omukulu mbadde ndala kunyonyola omwami yagambye nti meya lukwago ye meya omutuufu
gavumenti ekutte lukwago emunyigira mu nsonda takyekyusa.
Welcome back to minibus kyogereko.
Singa omusajja abankwana nga njagala sifa ku kya ssente wabula nfa ku mbeera yeyisa
alimba ono